Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Simply Brilliant. I'm Phil Brilliant. It is Tuesday, February 17th. I didn't look at the calendar, so that must mean that I'm thinking about everything I got to do today. So it's going to be a busy day, and I'm very excited that I get to start my day at Toms River High School South. Um, we do every year a joint effort with the Greater Toms River Chamber of Commerce and the Business Academy at Toms River, which is housed at Toms River High School South. We do our version of Shark Tank. We call it Tribal Council, and it's when the high school seniors in the Business Academy get to present their business plans to business leaders in the community, and we kind of score them, and we go through all of them. I think there's like 40 teams this year, either individuals or teams. And then we come down to our top 10 and we come back next week after 2 days of preliminaries this week. And we have our finals. It's on TV and we award scholarships. So I'll talk more about that, but I'm always excited. This is always a great thing because we have some phenomenal, phenomenal students in our community. I'm sure you parents already know that. And we get the opportunity to meet them and highlight them, and they inspire us more than we inspire them. So it works out really well. And I am thankful that the Greater Toms River Chamber of Commerce lets us do this, and also very thankful to all the business owners, operators, employees who participate, because it really is a great program and a great opportunity. And this is our 5th year. So excited to get back and do that this morning. A belated happy Valentine's Day to everybody who did celebrate Valentine's Day over the weekend. I'm not sure anybody celebrates it or doesn't celebrate it, but hopefully you had some opportunity with your loved ones. And then also you had a day off for President's Day. That was actually my first day off of the year. I do close the office for President's Day, and had a good opportunity to work and get a lot of work done and catch up, as I will be heading out of town at the end of this week. And so trying to, shove 5 days of work into 2 days, and that's always difficult. But we do our best, and I do my best. So a couple things I want to hit upon today. One is we are starting to see a huge battle brewing. The lines are being drawn. And if you are on social media, it is going to be something, excuse me, I'm not comfortable in my chair here. It's going to be something that we're going to have to keep an eye on, because we're seeing that the infighting in Jackson Township and the non-approval of a contract for Shore News Network has resulted in new pages on social media that are attacking both sides. I usually don't name the pages because I don't like to give them real credence, but you can see it out there. And I got called out on a page yesterday. I have nothing to do with it. I try to stay just in Toms River. I try not to get involved in what's going on in Jackson. I do see the attacks upon the mayor and the attacks upon the council from Shore News Media. I see their attacks back. I see the attacks among them. A lot of crap going on. We'll see how it all plays out. The exposing page in Toms River has been silent for about a week now since the pipe break at Town Hall. It is my understanding Town Hall is open for business today and back up and running, but I have no idea. And I've asked questions. What happened with the pipe break? How is it fixed? What's the story relative to insurance, relative to the statement by the mayor that they couldn't reopen the building because the insurance company was making them do environmental testing? All those things we'll have to find out at a later date, whether it's at a council meeting, which is not until next Wednesday, which is February 25th, or through Oprah. So we'll see how all that plays out. But the municipal building is back up and running today. So on Friday, right before Valentine's Day, we saw no love in Toms River as a lawsuit dropped by Ben Silkowitz, who was the Toms River Township building official. He was the building director, the building department head, and he was suspended with pay November 12th by a letter of Jonathan Solanas had sent and basically said that the administration has received credible information that you have violated township policies, township procedures regarding issuance of certificates of occupancy and construction department inspections in order to benefit an individual with whom you have a close personal relationship and possibly a pecuniary, sorry, couldn't see the word, relationship. And so effective immediately, he was placed on paid leave. That is November 12th. On February 2nd, 2026, is a letter from acting business chief Drew Chabot, which basically says you are notified of your termination of employment. Reason of termination is sustained violations of Toms River workplace violence and conflict of interest policies. Go back to the other letter. It said there that the township has the right to refer this to criminal investigations and that they will start an investigation. The lawsuit basically from Mr. Silkowitz says that, where's the investigation? What happened? What did you find? And basically, you can't fire me because as much as I work for Toms River and in Toms River, I'm really licensed, certified, and an agent of the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs. And the Community Affairs have to do an investigation. And from some of my digging around, there is no current investigation at Community Affairs. We'll see how those Oprahs come back. But it's interesting, though, because Daniel Rodrick, who is the mayor of Toms River, who has, ultimate authority in Toms River, the way that the Faulkner Act works with a mayor council, really sometimes needs to think twice as a business owner for over 30 years. When it comes to human resource issues, you tighten your lips. You say nothing. You lock down. You let the attorneys, you let the human resource director, you let all the powers that be do all the work and all the talking. But Daniel Rodrick can't do that. And so Shore News Network has put a couple of articles out. And of course, they keep promoting it through all of their pages. The headline in the most recent one is Toms River Building Chief Fired by Mayor in Alleged Permit Pushing Scandal. And it says here, the head of Toms River Building Department has been fired following an internal investigation. Now, if you go back to the court papers, it says that there was going to be a law firm investigating, not internal, into allegations that he fast-tracked construction approvals for developers tied to a prominent Orthodox Jewish community leader, Mayor Daniel Rodrick, confirmed. So he's talking, okay? And it goes on, and it says, but I want to say, so Mayor Rodrick said the inquiry confirmed complaints that Silkowitz provided special treatment and preferential handling to a person who operates a business managing permits and inspections for multiple construction companies. Then it goes on to talk about a confrontation at the League of Municipalities, that basically Rodrick says he was shoved repeatedly and that Silkowitz used profanity over the decision to place him on leave. That alone, Rodrick feels he could have been fired. And it goes on and talks about a hearing that Silkowitz declined, though we read the court papers and it doesn't appear to be a hearing. This is really going to be interesting. And I tell you all to watch this one because, as much as the mayor of Toms River has this ultimate authority and power over employees and directs the work they do and the hirings and the firings, the DCA comes into play here because the handling of construction permits is a delicate act. It is not done by one person, okay? It makes its way through a stream of people, let it be planning, zoning, engineering, fire, all of these things, and then it gets plopped on the building code official's desk, and he has to figure out, has everything been satisfied? Are we good? And then he issues a temporary CO or a CO. It is not just let one person be the king. There's a process. The process was put on the Toms River transparency page recently, but this will be interesting to play out for two reasons. One, how much involvement DCA has in this investigation and what involvement they had to fire him. Because if there's none, this could be a very frivolous firing, and we'll see what Toms River has to pay for this one. But two, it is really going to test the powers of what Daniel Rodrick thinks he can do in Toms River and what he ultimately can do when it comes to building permits and building inspections. So that'll be more down the road. So we'll see how that plays out. And I am going to watch this closely because I think it also has a lot to do with our current and future development here in Toms River. Because you could see DCA could come in and say, you know what? We're going to run your building department. Have a nice day. We've seen it happen throughout New Jersey. If that happens here in Toms River, that changes the whole dynamic of how that department works. We'll see what ends up happening, and we'll see how much truth comes out to the fact that there are people putting influence on the building inspector or the building department and getting something from that influence. Having worked in construction, environmental, I have spent hours sitting outside a building department in Brooklyn, New York, from time to time when I was doing work in New York, and waited for the building inspector to come out of the bathroom so that I could approach him and say, hey, I need some help with this permit. It's been sitting on a desk for 3 weeks. What can you do? Okay. And that's how things move forward. I never gave money. I never gave anything. I never gave gift. I never did more than getting a face-to-face, which is sometimes all you really need and want. And when people hide behind desks and offices, you don't always get that. So sometimes you need to hire somebody to go help you get in the door. But the only money that should be ever transpiring back and forth is from the builder or developer or property owner to the person he hires to go expedite the permit. From the expediter to the township, the expediter to the inspector, that is all needs to be level ground. If it's not, that's when you see major investigations. I don't think we're going to see that here. I think this is a situation where we're going to see that this was some payback, possibly. And we saw that in a couple of articles that came out over the weekend and had to do with politics more than it had to do with construction. But more will be determined as we go down the road there. And the last thing I wanted to cover today, I just want to touch because, we are only a couple weeks away from March. How about that? And when March hits, we usually start hearing and thinking about the budget. And I just want to take us back a little bit because Daniel Rodrick throws numbers out all over the place all the time. And because he never hesitates and because he sounds so convincing, and let's not forget the fact he is the mayor of Toms River, the 8th largest municipality. So why would you think he's lying to you? But I wanted to go back and look at some things and look at some numbers. Just going to throw some things out there to start rattling and to start for you to think. And over the next coming weeks or months, depending upon when we see the budget, and the process is the mayor and business administrator will present the budget to the council. There should be a budget hearing at which time the budget is presented. The council can ask questions. The council and the public can ask questions. The council can ask for modifications. The council can veto or not approve some of the lines because this is done by a resolution, not by ordinance. And the resolution is controlled by the council. And so once you have an agreement, the council approves the budget. And by the way, budgets are not always consensus. You must get a majority, which is 4, to pass the budget. We'll see how this all plays out over the next few months. I believe last year, I have to go back and look. I think the budget was approved in May. It may have been the end of April, but I think it was May. And you can get some extensions as far as that goes. But I want to just look real quick at some numbers. And these are factual numbers that I broke down out of the Toms River budgets that are online under the finance tab. So the actual numbers, so the 2024 budget, and that was the year Daniel Rodrick came into office, was $146 million using a $20 million, excuse me. Yeah. I'm sorry, it says it used only $20,000. I think it was $20 million surplus. 2025 was $135,000. So there was a difference there of $11 million. And the surplus used was $9.4 million. So the difference in spending is about $10 to $11 million. But we know our taxes didn't go down. So where did that money go? Okay. It wasn't I didn't get any money back. Did you? Okay. Um, so taxes equal spending minus revenue minus surplus. So in this situation, the taxes stayed roughly the same because there was a cut in the surplus. So what does that mean? So what changed? 2024, the town operated with almost no surplus. In 2025, they built a surplus of 9.4 million. So the spending reduction largely became a cash reserve. Follow me here? I'm going to keep going. Um, and I mean, again, how does this really happen? Because the state always mandates costs that cannot be reduced. You can't reduce your debt payments, your pension contributions, your health benefits, though we do know there were a lot of costs and health benefits that were reduced. Can't reduce utilities, insurance, or what you pay as your pass-throughs, your county or school taxes. But lower municipal budgets, usually fewer staff positions were filled. We know that. Reduced enforcement activity. We know there's not much code enforcement going on in town. Reduced overtime. We've heard already that the mayor says, I'm not paying for overtime. No hiring or promotions in the police department. That saves you money. And reduce services on municipal services. I think about that a lot and reduce services. Someone picked up my garbage. My streets get plowed sometimes. And, if I call 911, I hope the police come. So have we seen reduced services? I know I personally haven't, but we have seen out there people who haven't gotten EMS calls on time. Police has taken a while to get there. They haven't gotten their streets plowed. So there's some question there as to what's happening. Now, did we as residents benefit in 2025 from this change? No, we didn't. Our tax level stayed the same. Our services were reduced. I mean, again, we have 20 less police officers. The municipal savings was increased, so more money went in the municipal bank, and the surplus was increased by 9.4 million. Okay. So, I think the important part and what I want to take away from this right now is that if you remember, Rodrick, when he came into office, kept saying Toms River has a $3.5 million deficit, and there was no deficit ever found. If anything, they had a $47 million surplus. And where are we today? We basically are today that Toms River did not spend all of the 23 surplus in 2024 or 2025. And it means that millions is accumulated in reserves rather than returned to the taxpayers. Should it be returned to the taxpayers? That's a great question. Should we see more services and less taxes? Again, we know we're not going to see our taxes go down. But what we do know, again, I'm going to say it one more time. Toms River ended 2023 with a $47.38 million surplus. 2024, they used $20 million of that surplus. 2025, they used 9.4 million of the surplus. So what do we see and what are we going to hear in 2026? Well, we know we should have a surplus going into 2026. We're in 2026, but we haven't seen the budget yet. How will that surplus be used is going to be the question. And do we think, and what do we think will happen in 2026? I will give you what I think will happen. I think we're going to see a stable tax rate. I don't think we're going to see an increase because we're going to be able to use the surplus to keep taxes flat. I think we're going to continue to see no hiring, a decrease in staffing, because that keeps your expenses down. And for Daniel Rodrick, it keeps his rhetoric going. I didn't raise your taxes. And for the common person, you haven't seen a change in services. I don't think you're going to see him give anything back to the town because he gives it to you in fireworks, concerts, music on the beach, spray parks, all these things that really nobody's asked for. But that's what he wants. The budget is going to be very interesting this year, and I do it now because it's getting close to March, and I think everybody needs to watch it and listen to what is going on between the mayor and the council. Because at the end of the day, the two need to come together to get a budget and submit the DCA. If they don't, it can be catastrophic to Tom's River and to the taxpayers. We're going to see how that all plays out. I hope I made some sense. If not, let me know and I can revisit the numbers or put this up on social media. I made some notes as I went over it yesterday. When I should have been working, I was spending time in the Tom's River budget because it really interests me, because I've always sat back and said, you know what? Rodrick keeps saying that he's lowered the budget by $9.5 million or $11 million, depending on what day of the week it is. But where'd that money really go? I needed to see where that went. And really what we see is it went to services that he wanted, legal, engineering, all these professional services, and $9.5 million into a surplus, which I think we'll see this year to offset costs and to keep taxes the same. I don't think we'll see a tax increase this year, so you all should be happy about that. But I also don't think we're going to see an increase in services. We're not going to see him hiring police. We're not going to see him improving our EMS services. We're not going to see him put money towards reopening the animal shelter, which has already been passed by resolution by the council. We'll see how that plays out. And that's a minimal amount of money. We're talking about $500,000, $1 million tops in a $35 million, $135 million budget. Come on, we can find that money. I'm Phil Brilliant. This has been Simply Brilliant. Hopefully I didn't confuse anybody. If I did, let me know, and we will do this again, and I'll speak slower and make more sense. Have a great day. Bye-bye.